This shutdown isn't ending anytime soon, and 1 week from today, Anna, February 24th, is the State of the Union.
Good morning, I'm Anna Palmer.
And I'm Jake Sherman.
And welcome to the Daily Punch, brought to you by Punchbowl News. It's Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. Let's get in the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the day. Number one, we've got the latest on the shutdown. Are we going to find a way out of it? Number two, we've got Mr. Jeffries in Texas. And number three, the Golden Dome. The Trump administration wants more funds, and Congress wants to know more about what exactly it is. All right, Jake, let's get into it. We are continuing this holiday recess week here in Washington with both chambers out of session, but there is paper that is being traded as we try to find a potential way out of this DHS shutdown.
Yeah, paper being traded. It's interesting that you say that because I kind of want to say that also, but I'm a little bit hesitant because, and I'll tell you why, Anna. I'm sure my hesitancy is of big concern to you, but I will. Here's what I will say. The Democrats sent an offer late last night, around 10 p.m., while I was on a very delayed flight, but let's not get into that because no one cares. They submitted an offer last night to the White House, another DHS funding offer. This is the most recent ping-pong between the White House and Hill Democrats. So Democrats released on February 4th, which is now 13 days ago, a 10-point DHS overhaul plan and legislative text. The White House responded with a 4-page letter and legislative text of their own. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries say the Republicans are not negotiating in good faith. And you know what? We have no reason to not believe them because the Republicans have not shown anything of what they haven't even given a hint of what they're negotiating for. But we have plenty of evidence, plenty of details about what they're not for, what they're not interested in. Body cams, masks, judicial warrants, 3 of the Democrats' major asks. Listen, Anna, it is now Tuesday. We mentioned this in the newsletter yesterday, but they need 48 to 72 hours to come back, Congress, that is, if there's a deal in hand. This shutdown isn't ending anytime soon, and 1 week from today, Anna, 1 week from today, February 24th, is the State of the Union. The State of the Union, according to the White House and Republicans and people like that, is not going to be impacted. And that will give Trump a chance to, if DHS is still shut down, it will give Trump a chance to have a big speech about it. What do you think here?
Yeah, it's a good point to make his case to the American public, right? That is that is certainly a big moment, right, where all the networks are going to cover it. I think there's a couple of things that are interesting here. One, the idea, yes, it feels like they're very far apart. The positions have solidified. As you say, we've gotten a lot of signals about what Republicans are unwilling to do, right? I think, in terms of the White House, we've seen that signaling among congressional Republicans. We saw that with Jim Jordan when we had him on Flyout Day last week, kind of what are kind of no-goes when it comes to some of this. But I do think the idea that none of the details have been leaked out shows a good faith effort, right, on both sides to say, all right, we got to figure out a way forward. I do think, the further that we get away from the tragic shootings in Minnesota, anytime you get further away from, an issue or a tragedy, and you get further away from that, it gets harder, right? Both sides kind of, I think the Republicans feel like they're in less of a position where they have to negotiate here, which puts us to where we are today, right? It's kind of, we're trying to figure out exactly what is going to happen. The people, in America aren't going to be feeling the pain of this because so many of these workers are considered essential, which is also usually one of the things, right? The trigger points that you have where all of a sudden, TSA, the airports, people start feeling like they're getting impacted by this. We aren't going to see that very soon when it comes to this agency shutdown.
Yeah, here's what I would say. DHS, is going to have to open at some point. Yeah. It's not clear to me if we're going to get, there's 2 ways this ends, with a negotiated settlement or the administration starts making it painful and Democrats or someone folds. right? Like there's no expiration date on this, Anna. What we said yesterday, and I'm sure you mentioned this in the podcast yesterday, but like people don't feel the pain of this because most DHS employees are essential, right?
Yeah,
Like
I just said that too.
yeah, right. So sorry, I must have zoned out. It's again a long night, Anna. So I don't know what the legislative fix is. I don't know what the panacea is to get this done, Anna. I don't know. And the administration, as you just said, feels like the situation is getting less dangerous for them as time goes on.
And they waited out Democrats when it came to healthcare. I think this is a very different scenario, right? But we'll have to see what the breaking points are, if there is any breakthrough. Also, when it comes to these negotiations. All right, Jake, let's move to the number 2 story of the morning. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries will travel this week to Texas and Illinois. We are told that we expect to see Jeffries in at least one border district, and he's bound to talk immigration, ICE, and deportations. This is a big move by the minority leader to kind of, and I think showcases that Democrats are ready to take the fight to the people when it comes to ICE, when it comes to deportations, when it comes to immigration, a very different posture than what we have seen where Republicans have really had the upper hand on this issue.
Yeah, and they also think they have huge political opportunity in Texas, a state where kind of the centerpiece of Republicans' efforts to redraw the congressional maps this cycle. Republicans thought they were going to get a handful of safe seats. Democrats say that they can challenge in a bunch of seats across the state. And listen, the president's numbers on immigration are not great. 54% believe Trump has gone too far in restricting legal immigration. 52% believe he has gone too far in deporting immigrants who are in the United States illegally. 60% view ICE unfavorably. Anna, this is a big liability, and it ties back in to what we were saying in the top, which is Republicans feel like they're on safer ground now in talking about immigration compared to the last shutdown, which was healthcare centric. But Democrats are trying to flip that on its head. And listen, Jeffries travels a lot, right? So let's put this in context. The guy is on the road like every congressional leader, all recess, every recess, all over the country. California, Texas are 2 massive states for Republican and Democratic cash, right? I mean, a lot of Democratic and Republican cash in Texas. But Jeffries is going to be at least in at least one border district and is bound to talk, as you said, about ICE immigration and deportations. So it is at least fortuitous timing, Anna, to be in the state of Texas during this entire impasse.
And our very own Allie Mutnick on the ground in Texas doing a bunch of coverage. So we will be reporting all week on what is happening in the Lone Star State. Stick with us on that. Let's move to the number 3 story of the morning. From our defense policy reporters, we've got Republicans questioning on funding about the Golden Dome. Of course, the Golden Dome, Jake, is President Donald Trump's domestic missile defense shield, and it's likely to be a key tenet of his forthcoming fiscal year 2027 budget request. But the Pentagon will need to overcome congressional skepticism to secure more funding for the effort. There was funding in the One Big Beautiful Bill, but now there's a lot of questions, and members of Congress, including Republicans, saying, what exactly are we funding here?
What's going on? Right. This is not a replica. It's inspired by, let's say, the Iron Dome, which is the Israeli missile defense system, which has protected Israel during the war against Hamas. Over the last couple of years. And Trump said, hey, why don't we have one of those for ourselves? And Congress is not, let's say they're not opposed, but they're skeptical. Roger Wicker, the chair of the Senate Armed Services Committee, says there are a million questions, a million details, but I think it's a sound concept, and I think the American people are supportive of it. To be honest with you, I don't think the American people have any idea that Congress is doing this. I don't think the American people are really tuned into the finer points of defense policy and of weapons procurement. But Anna, they could be if they subscribe to Punchbowl News Defense, which we welcome everybody in America to subscribe to. This is a product for hundreds of millions of people should they want to know the finer points of defense policy.
There you go, Jake. That's our advertising pitch. All right, we are going to leave it there, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. If you like the Daily Punch, share it on social media. Tell your friends. It's the best way for folks to find out about us. And, of course, you can go deeper on all we talked about this morning and more at punchbowl.news. Sign up for our free morning newsletter. All it takes is an email. Have a great day and stay safe, everybody.